So today we're going to discuss 5 main questions. First of all, what are the different types of accountants? So when we say accountants, what kind of professionals are included in this category? Secondly, what's the benefit of being a CPA, the Canadian Chartered Professional Accountant? If someone cannot become a CPA, Canadian CPA, what other options do they have? What's the step-by-step process of becoming a CPA? And I think we had one more.
Yes, actually we had one more, and this was I think we covered the.
So today we're going to discuss 5 questions. First of all, I wanted to understand. So today we wanted to discuss 5 different questions. First of all, when we say accountants, what does this include? What kind of professionals are included in this category? Secondly, what is the benefit of becoming a chartered professional accountant in Canada? Which one of these accountants can become a CPA? And if they can become a CPA, what other options do they have? And finally, in order to become a CPA, what is the step-by-step process? So over to you, Abrar.
My name is Abrar. I am also a certified professional accountant. I became a CPA member back in 2017, and some of you who are revisiting the channel might have seen my earlier video, which I did with Rashid a couple of months ago. So I'll start off with Rashid's first question, which is basically how many type of accountants there are. So when we talk about accountants, as you can imagine, it's a very broad category.
Accountant.
Anyone who has an accounting degree per se, who has a bachelor's in accounting and finance, who's got a bachelor's in commerce, anyone who has studied for accounting can call themselves an accountant. But there's a slight difference when you talk about being professional accountant. So you need to be certified by a professional accounting body, and there are multiple ways to get yourself certified. Like you have your chartered accountants, the CAs, and there are different bodies who offer these programs in different countries. So you have your Institute of Chartered Accountants in Pakistan, Institute of Chartered Accountants in India, and so forth in other countries. So, and then you have some global accounting qualifications or bodies which offer their accounting designations to people across the globe, including ACCA, which offers their accounting qualification to more than 100 plus countries. Then you have your Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, who also offer the same qualification to students across the globe. So if you're a prospective accountant, or if you're an accountant who does not have a professional accountancy qualification, you can pursue one of these routes to get a professional designation or certification.
Okay, so thank you very much, Abrar. I guess that is one of the common questions, because there are a lot of people who have either a bachelor's degree or maybe a 2 or 3 year diploma in accounting. So can we call them accountants other than designation?
Okay, so as I was saying, like anyone who has studied for accounting or who has, worked in accounting for some time, who has experience in doing accounting books, they can call themselves an accountant. But the distinction really comes when you can call yourself a certified accountant or not. But as Rashid pointed out, if someone has experience in accounting, or if someone has studied accounting at some point in time, they can definitely call themselves an accountant. But that does not necessarily mean that it's going to lead to a certified professional accounting designation in the future. You would have to go either one of the routes where you get an ACCA or a CA or a CMA for you to get to your eventual destination. So these degrees would be an eventual stepping stone for you if you intend to come to Canada or plan on landing here sometime soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Abrar. So as per my understanding, anyone can apply as an accountant. They can use the National Occupation Code for accounting, and that will get them enough points for experience, as long as they have at least 3 years of foreign work experience. So they can use their accounting experience to come to Canada and immigrate to Canada. But what is the real benefit of getting a CPA designation from Canada, like becoming a chartered professional accountant? Like, how does that benefit international immigrants who are coming to Canada?
So as Rashid mentioned, that you can probably come into Canada without really getting your CPA designation, and you get the required points to come to Canada. But the real benefit of CPA comes or kicks in when you're looking for a job. So there's no easy way to explain it. CPA does have a positive edge when you come to the Canadian job environment. So the Canadian job market recognizes the locally qualified accountants or people who have relevant experience here. But that does not necessarily mean that you cannot enter the job market. I have seen many examples of accountants and finance professionals who did not get a CPA or a professional accounting designation from Canada, and they're still working here and they're employed. So that does not necessarily mean that you can't find a job. If you have good relevant experience, there's always opportunities. but CPA does really give you an edge over the other candidates. If you're competing for the same job, 5 people don't have a CPA designation and you have the CPA designation, that's definitely going to give you an edge. And some of the more experienced and managerial level jobs do require CPA designation, so it's definitely beneficial for you to get a CPA if you intend to live in Canada for a long time.
So out of the different designations that we just discussed, which of these accountants, because they, like you mentioned, they can have a bachelor's of commerce, they can have an accounting and finance bachelor's degree, they can be a CA or an ACCA, which of these can actually become a Canadian chartered professional accountant? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So there are a couple of ways to achieve your CPA designation in Canada. If you are not already nationally recognized accountant, then you can always start from the ground up. There are multiple options for people who can go to university and join a program which leads to a CPA. Multiple universities and colleges offer programs that can 3 or 4 years programs that can lead to a CPA designation eventually. But if you are a professionally designated accountant, let's say you are a chartered accountant from Pakistan, or you're an ACCA, or you're a CMA, you definitely have an edge over the people who don't have a professional accounting qualification. So CPA offers different routes for internationally trained accountants to get their CPA designation through different mutual recognition agreements that they offer. One of the key benefits of having a globally accepted accounting qualification is that it opens a lot of doors for you to get mutually recognized if you decide to immigrate to another country. So CMAs, ICAP, chartered accountants from India, Pakistan, chartered accountants from Ireland, UK, Australia, they can all become certified professional accountants in Canada through different mutual recognition agreements.
So what I understood from what Abrar said is, if you have an international designation already, if you're a chartered accountant or if you have an ACCA designation, it's much more easier to get CPA designation in Canada. But if you are someone who doesn't have these designations, for example, you did a bachelor's of commerce or accounting and finance degree or a diploma in accounting, you can still become a CPA, but the route will be much longer.
Much longer. You would definitely have to start from ground up. You will have to join a local college or university which offer multiple courses or programs that lead to pathways that eventually get you the CPA designation. So as I pointed out earlier, that it's definitely easier if you have an internationally recognized accounting qualification. The route is much more easier, but nonetheless, it's not impossible. If you don't have an internationally recognized accounting qualification, you can still become a CPA.
And like you mentioned earlier, that if someone doesn't become a CPA, they can still have a decent enough job. If someone is an accountant, they have good experience. And I think on this channel, people have asked us questions about being an accountant in supply chain, and they have different sorts of experiences. So if someone doesn't want to pursue the CPA designation, what other good options are there for them?
For people who have, let's say, IT background, and if they want to become an auditor, let's say, they can try out Certified Internal Systems Auditor. They can do CISA. People who have auditing background, but they don't have an internationally recognized accounting qualification, they can become internal auditors. They can do IIA from the US. They can get that certification. If you are someone who has accounting and forensic accounting experience, you can become a certified fraud examiner or a forensic accountant. So there are multiple accounting bodies who offer all these certifications. So there's always routes for people who don't have a recognized accounting qualification, but they do have relevant accounting experience and similar experience in which they want to eventually get a job in Canada. They can go for CISA, they can go for internal auditing, they can go for CHRP. For people who have relevant payroll experience, they can get payroll certifications from Canada. So there are always multiple ways out for people who don't have a qualification. And as I said, even if you don't have one, and if you have strong professional background, if you have strong work experience, there's no shortage of jobs. You can always find a good job. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, it gives you an edge if you do have accounting qualification.
So Brar, you had an ACCA designation and you became a Canadian CPA quite quickly after immigrating to Canada. So how can one become a CPA if one is either a ACCA, has a CA designation, or a CMA? Can you please tell us a bit more about the different pathways?
I'll of course start off with my own professional accounting body, that is ACCA. So one thing that I want to point out for everybody's knowledge is that the mutual recognition agreement between ACCA and CPA is set to expire next year. This is still pending a renewal, but anyone who is looking to get their CPA designation should probably hurry up now and utilize this 1-year timeline. So it is advised to everybody who is looking to emigrate to Canada, or in the future, they should probably jump aboard when there's still a chance, because you never know if the mutual recognition agreement gets renewed next year or not. So after that, I'll let you know what are the step-by-step processes for getting a CPA through the ACCA route. There are a couple of things. You need to be a member in good standing with ACCA. You should have completed your ACCA by passing all the mandatory exams, and you should not have become an ACCA member through another mutual recognition agreement from ACCA within another body. You need to have practical work experience requirements fully done, and those should be verifiable. And plus, on top of that, you should have a 4 years bachelor degree. So some of the people have also got luck who did not have a bachelor's degree, but they did have a master's degree. So as long as you are able to convince CPA body that you have the enough required credits to get your CPA qualification, you should be good. So people who are wanting to apply for the CPA through the ACCA route, so they need to ask their ACCA to send out a letter of good standing with all the stated facts that I mentioned and your transcripts to CPA Ontario. You also need to get your bachelor's degree equated through World Education Services. So this is an additional requirement that they started from January 1st, 2020. So applicants who applied after January 1st would need to get their credentials certified from World Education Services. There's an ICAP evaluation, which you can get the details on their website. Basically, you send those degrees and your transcripts to WES, and then they equate your degree to Canadian standards, and then they send the equivalents to CPA. So CPA, once getting your letter of good standing, your WES evaluation, your completed forms, and your membership dues, they will process your application, and hopefully if everything is in place, you should get your membership within 12 weeks to 24 weeks. So for CAs from Pakistan and India who are interested in getting CPA qualification, they can also apply through mutual recognition agreements that are signed between CPA and their respective bodies. In order to be eligible, you need to be a member in good standing with your respective accounting body. You need to be admitted as an ICAP chartered accountant or an ICAI chartered accountant by virtue of qualifying all your exams and not by another agreement with a third party. So you need to make sure that you've qualified all the exams of the accounting body before you can apply for it. As you can imagine, there are different documentation requirements. You need to send a letter of good standing from your accounting body to CPA Canada. You need to give them a proof of your legal name, which could be a passport or your PR card or your driver's license, etc. You also need to submit your resume, which should order your experience in a chronological order. You need to send letters of good standing from all the accounting bodies with whom you can be a professional accountant, and also you need to have a bachelor degrees, and you need to do the similar thing of a VES ICAP, which is an International Credential Advanced Package. You need to get your bachelor's degree certified by WES, and then you need to send it to CPA for further evaluation. There are a couple of main differences between the mutual recognition agreement between ACCA and ICAP or ICAI. Basically, chartered accountants from India and Pakistan need to also appear for common final exam, which is not a requirement for people who are ACCA members. So they need to give this exam, and they need to complete capstone 1 or 2 before going for their final CFE examination. So this is an added, I must say, behemoth task. You basically need to qualify and pass the toughest exam in this whole CPA curriculum. So when you complete that exam, and along with all the other required documentation and steps that are laid out, you should apply for CPA membership, and hopefully within 12 to 24 weeks you should get your membership. So members of CIMA, which is Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK, who are interested in getting a CPA in Canada, they can also qualify for admission for membership. If you are a member in good standing of CIMA UK, you have a qualified professional accountant by completing the entire CPA curriculum and program of studies. One of the most important things that you've started the CIMA program prior to immigration to Canada. So you should have started this program before your intention to move to Canada. You have not previously attempted or failed attempt at CMA Canada. So you should not have taken an exam with CMA Canada if you're applying through the CIMA route. You should have 2 years of relevant experience at a managerial level, which would be 5 years of relevant experience if you do not have a bachelor's degree or a university degree. You should make an application, on the prescribed forms by CPA. You should provide evidence of good character by your body lead to CPA Canada. You should not be bankrupt, or you should not have any disciplinary action standing against you, and you need to mail off all of these documents to CPA Canada. So these are, I would say, lay out broader eligibility requirements for CIMA. People who are more interested can visit cpacanada.ca, and then they can look into specific details, or they can reach out to any questions in the comment section, and we can probably address them later.
Thanks, Abrar. A lot of people do ask about how can they become a CPA before coming to Canada. Now, you explained the whole process of how one can become a CPA, but can someone become a CPA before coming to Canada, like by sitting outside of Canada? Do they only have to come in for an exam? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So people who are, let's say, members of ACCA or CIMA, they can do all the documentation, all the experience requirements, or all the necessary paperwork before even moving to Canada. This is one of the great flexibilities offered by CPA, that you can basically start your qualification process even before moving to Canada. As I mentioned in my step-by-step process, there's basically no requirement for you to really come into Canada in order for you to apply for CPA membership. But for people who are members of ICAPC, like chartered accountants from India or Pakistan, they would have to appear for CFE examinations that are normally held in Canada. So for that, you would have to come in and sit those examinations in person before you can apply for the membership.
Thanks, Abrar. So that means that even though you can get a CPA designation before you come to Canada, that really doesn't help you with your immigration process, because you don't get any additional points in express entry for having this designation. The points you get is mainly there based on your education. So maybe you can get your designation after coming to Canada and focus more on how to get enough CRS points at this stage to actually immigrate to Canada.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. CPA would only offer you an edge if you're looking to find a job, or if you're already in Canada, you want to move to another better job. But as Rashid pointed out, it's not going to help you gain more CRS points or expedite your process of moving to Canada.
Another thing is, I have a friend, he's a Canadian citizen, and he did his CPA from USA. So even though he was probably living in Canada at that time as well, and he was a Canadian citizen, he still went to the US to get his CPA designation, and he was telling me that somehow he wasn't able to get the Canadian CPA designation. Just because being a Canadian citizen, he still chose to go to the US to do his CPA. So why is that? Why is there such a difficulty in getting this reciprocity between US and Canada? And Kamran, if you're watching, I'm talking about you.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, no accounting body or qualification would really want for people to be present in that specific country and go to another country and get their qualification through another route. So this is for them to discourage people basically evading the whole CPA process and going through probably an easier route for getting your CPA. As I mentioned, people who have their accounting qualifications done before moving to Canada are only given this chance to get their CPA membership. So if you have landed in Canada and you're studying for like ACCA or another accounting qualification for you to get CPA membership, that's not going to work. So you would need to be a qualified accountant before you actually move to Canada. And I guess this really makes sense. Why would CPA Canada not want to get all the revenue from you giving all the exams here, instead of letting you go to another country and give your money to their local body and getting their CPA through a mutual recognition agreement? So I guess that's just the way how it is. You got to play by the rules.
I guess in the end, one of the key learnings is focus more on immigration to Canada, what you need to do to increase your CRS score. One of the things that Abrar did a while ago when he wanted to immigrate to Canada was he not only did his ACCA, but he also did his bachelor's with an ACCA. There was a process where he had to write some research papers, do some extra effort, and he ended up getting an equivalence from World Education Services of 2 or more degrees. So if you can do that, if you have very good scores in your IELTS exam or CELPEP exam, if you have 3 years of work experience, and if your age is 29 or less, chances are that you will score quite high on the CRS and increase your chances of immigrating to Canada. So focus more on that for now and how you can improve your CRS, and then once you are here, you can go ahead with your CPA process. Thank you very much for your time, Abrar. It was a pleasure meeting you again.
Same here.
Thank you. And if you guys have any question, feel free to write in the comment section. We will also drop some links in the description. If you like this video, if you got value out of this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. There are a lot more videos coming your way. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.
Bye guys.